Hello, bold, brave, and brilliant, ladies and gentlemen. This episode of Zepbound Journey with Ange is a very special episode because we have a guest today. We have a guest by the name of Charles. Yes, Charles, which means we have a man in the house. So that's so great. I'm super excited to bring him to you. I will bring him to you in just a second. But for those of you who are absolutely brand new to our channel, welcome. We are a community of kind, caring, compassionate people who are taking GLP-1s or who are interested in GLP-1s. That means you're taking Ozempic, Wegovy, Saxenda, or you are on Zepbound, or you're interested in it. And if that is you, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss one of our episodes. Because today is a very special episode. We've never interviewed a man on our show before, and he has had amazing results. I think he's probably one of those super responders to the medication. But today we'll get a chance to hear his whole story. And my hope is that his story will inspire you on your own journey and give you some tips or tools that you can use that will move the needle in your journey and your weight loss experience as well. So without further ado, allow me to bring to the stage Charles from Round Mound on Zepbound. Did I say that right?
Yes, Round Mound of Zepbound.
Of Zepbound. Yay!
Hey, Ange, how are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. I think there's so many men out there who are either interested in this journey or who are on the journey, but we never see them. They're lurkers, right? They're behind the scenes, and you are leading the charge, especially for men, to see that there's another, manly guy out there who is an all-American sports guy who also struggled with this disease that we call obesity. So welcome. So nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So let's jump in. I'm sure I'll try to ask all the questions that I think my audience might want to know. But if we can just start with your story, right? Start with your story. Give us the background of, what brought you to taking Zepbound.
Well, I played college football. And as many of you may know, football is a very violent sport, and it did a lot of damage to my body, and it made me a very sedentary person after I stopped playing and got into the corporate world and became someone that worked in an office. So I started playing college football at a JUCO, at a local junior college in Southern California, and I was a honorable mention All-American. I was all conference, all state, and I earned a scholarship to San Diego State University, where that fall, during fall camp, I sustained a back and a neck injury that kind of plagued me for the rest of my playing career. And because of that injury, I had a fallout with the coaching staff and the training staff, and I decided to transfer to another university. So I transferred up to Portland State University, where I played my last 2 years of college football. And I did so much damage to my body trying to fight through those injuries, so much so that after fall camp during my senior year, I didn't practice during the week. I would only watch film and watch my backup practice and just to take mental reps, and then just focus on treatment to make sure that I was ready to play in the game. So playing football, playing during a game, you're having like 80 to 90 car accidents a game, just running into people. And for me, after I stopped playing, I decided I was going to take some time off, and that's probably the worst thing that I could have done as far as activity wise, because my body just got more and more stiff. So I started looking into ways to become more active, because I was putting on weight, and so I started having these surgeries to try to get my body more active, and that included. I started off with a lap band surgery. I got the lap band in I think it was 2010.
Mm.
And at the time, I think it was probably around 2:30. I'm sorry, 3:30 or 3:35 when I got the lap band. And initially, the lap band was successful for me, but after a while, I started having issues with overeating, and I would constantly throw up because I was overeating, and that would stretch the band out
Mhm.
and created all this scarring. And in 2013 or so, they took the saline out because I was just having so much trouble with it. And the last 9 months to a year, I didn't have any saline in the band, and my weight got up to 358 pounds.
And let me just say
Uh,
this, for those people who might not be familiar with the lap band, Charles and I have that in common, right? Because I had the lap band done in 2009. And you said you had yours in 2010, right?
Correct.
So the lap band is like a band that goes around a portion of your stomach to restrict food, right? And the way they tighten the band is by putting saline into it. So when he's talking about having the saline taken out, it loosens the band, right? And then you don't have the restriction that you had before, and you're able to gain the weight. So I just wanted to,
Exactly.
just for people who aren't familiar with that. So yes, please continue, and don't forget to tell them about growing up too, and
Yeah,
your dad. Okay.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some additional surgeries I had in order to get my body movement again. I had a laminectomy in 2010 as well, to try to fix some of the issues in my back, and that followed with a SI joint fusion
Mm.
in 2010, and then in 2014, I had um, cam type impingement on both. Actually, in 2013, I had a double hernia repair because of what was going on with my hips, and
Mm.
that led to two hip surgeries, one on my left hip and one on my right hip, in 2014. And what had happened is some calcium deposits had developed on the head of the femur where it goes into the joint socket for the hip, and that tore up the cartilage in my hip joint and the
Wow.
labrum. So they had to go in and repair the labrum, smooth out the cartilage, and then shave down that calcium deposit so the joint can move freely. The bone can move freely within the joint.
And
So
all this was the result of you playing sports, playing football all those years at a high
cor-
level.
correct.
Wow.
Um, and then in 2015, this is after I had the lap band removed. They didn't want to do. I was trying to move to a sleeve, but they didn't want to do a sleeve initially because of the scarring that occurred on the esophagus. They wanted to heal up first. So in between time of getting the saline out and having the lap band removed, and then going to the sleeve, I got up to 358 pounds, and then I got the gastric sleeve. And the sleeve was very successful for me, at least initially. I went down to as low as 274, and then I kind of maintained around 285 or so. But looking back, I think I wasn't as successful as I could have been on the lap band and the sleeve because of things that we're learning now about food noise. I didn't know
Mhm.
what food noise was.
Mhm.
As a kid, my dad was a very authoritarian figure in our life, and he didn't let us get up from the table unless we ate everything on the plate,
Mhm.
no matter how much was there or how hungry we were. So, and oftentimes he would stand over us with a belt to make sure. And I understand where that came from. His parents are from the deep South. They grew up in during the Jim Crow era in Arkansas, little town Smackover, Arkansas. So anybody out there from Smackover, shout out to you.
Mhm.
And they went through the Great Depression. So in big families, my dad was one of 12 kids, and
Oh
then his parents
wow.
had lots of kids. So there's probably the mentality is that you don't know where your next meal is coming from, so you have to make sure that you ate it all. Well, that followed me throughout my life, and it was a plus as I was growing up because it allowed me to gain muscle mass in order to play sports and football. But once I stopped playing, it became a problem for me because I was no longer active. I was no longer burning calories. I was no longer in the gym working out, and I was just sitting around eating this food nonstop, and I couldn't stop no matter how
Mhm.
much I put into myself or how much I wanted to push the plate away.
Mhm.
And with the lap band and the sleeve, you have this physical restriction on
Mhm.
food, but you don't have the chemical restrictions. So you're constantly thinking you have to finish everything on your plate. You're not eating the portion size that you're supposed to. Even if you know you can only eat so much, you're still putting the same amount of foods on your plate. And then when it's on your plate, you feel like you can't stop eating it until it's gone. So, and then that followed up with in 2020, I think it was, I had a full hip replacement, a follow up on the hip surgery, and I have to have my other hip replaced.
Before you go there, I just want to talk about, I want to go back and just talk about that a little bit, because I thought that was really interesting about, you know, as you think about your history and think about what got you to this place. And a lot of our parents told us to eat everything that was on the plate, right? And I heard this physician talking about babies who are breastfed versus babies that are bottle fed, right? And he said that the majority of kids, babies that are breastfed, do not have an issue with overeating. He said because they learn as infants to regulate. To like they take them, they nurse as long until they're satisfied, and then they stop nursing. But bottle fed, they just keep drinking as long as the mom keeps giving it to them. They keep drinking it, which I thought that was really interesting. And I thought about that when I heard your story, because I thought, you know, it was like it's ingrained in you at a young age. Keep eating. If the food is there, keep eating it. So I just wanted to mention that, because I think for many of us, we, you know, if we stop and pause and really think back and connect the dots over time, we can probably find the source of when things began, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, that's an environmental thing, as far as making sure you ate all your food. That turned into a hormonal chemical thing that you couldn't start off in your brain. So it's very interesting to think about, because the biggest thing for me, aside from all the other benefits that the Zepbound or GLP-1 medications provide, as far as cardiovascular health, reduction of sleep apnea events, reducing inflammation, reducing fatty liver disease, and all of those things. The biggest thing that is done for me is remove the food noise. I no longer think about what's in the cabinet. My wife used to hide food from me because I would eat her snacks up. I would eat mine up, and then I'm in hers. You know, she would hide them from me. So now she can leave them out. I don't even think about them. And the thing that I think about is, when I started GLP-1 in January, it was right before the Super Bowl, and we went out and got some food for the Super Bowl. And one of my weak points was sweet tea. I love sweet tea. I would drink a whole bottle of sweet tea within a day or a day and a half. And
I think you're my brother. I think you're my brother, because I'm the same way.
She bought a bottle that Super Bowl weekend, and it's still sitting in the refrigerator unopened. Wow. And that's just how powerful this medication is on eliminating the food noise. I don't even think about it. I don't think about sugary drinks. I don't think about what my next meal is going to be. I don't think about what snack I need to eat in order to kind of please that pleasure center until my next meal.
It's incredible.
That's a very powerful thing.
Charles, it is incredible. And that's what I say to people, because you and I are people we've done all the things. Like, we had 2 bariatric surgeries, and we still were struggling, right? White knuckling it to try to lose the weight, right? So I tell people, my issue wasn't really restriction. My issue was up here.
Exactly.
Right? And if the medication, if we had to choose between the effectiveness of what the drug could do, I would choose up here over satiety and restriction and over everything else, because once it unlocks, it's whatever it does in your mind. Once that the hormones get to your hypothalamus, that craving center, right? Those pleasure centers in the mind. And it calms it down, and it says, you know what, you're good, you're okay, you don't need it right now. Then I don't have to have Like you could stock my refrigerator with all the goodies, all the things that I
Yeah.
used to like, all the sweet tea, right?
Yeah.
You have shelves and shelves of sweet tea. And I'd be like, I'm good right now, but thank you, right?
Yeah.
Where before you'd be up all night drinking it, like,
Yep. Yep.
right? And so it is, that part is so powerful. And I think people who've never experienced food noise may not really get it, right? They're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're leaving. I'm like, no, it to me, it makes you feel normal. Like I could go to dinner or with a friend who doesn't have it and experience what she's experiencing because the
Yeah.
food noise is no longer there. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's really a game changer. That the
Yeah.
fact that it does that, that medication does that to the brain is a game changer for so many of us.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of people that don't experience it don't understand what you're talking about. But I've had conversations with people that are fighting the disease of obesity that are in the community. But I'm becoming like an evangelist and trying to get everyone to look into these medications.
Mhm.
And I mentioned food noise and explain what it is, and they know exactly what I'm talking about
Mhm.
because they deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So it's a powerful. If this medication was around in 2010, I would have never gotten a lap band.
Yes, I'm glad because I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you that. Do you think, like, if somebody's a candidate for a bariatric surgery, do you think they should try this first before they go
Yes,
under the knife? They should try this first.
yes, yeah. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Hmm.
I mean, getting the sleeve has been, I think, an advantage for me in this journey. But if I would have had this medication, I would have never gotten a lap band. I would have never gotten the sleeve.
Hmm.
But
And let me just ask you this, and then I want you to continue with your story. What is it like being on this medication and having the sleeve? Like, do you still have restriction with the sleeve? Like, does it limit how much food you can have?
yes, I still have some restriction. I mean, it is stretched out from when I got it in 2015. So
Mhm.
it's not as tight it is, but I still have a restriction. And what this medication allows me to do is eat within that restriction. I'm no
Mhm.
longer overeating. I'm no
Mhm.
longer downing sugary drinks and sodas and
Mhm.
things of that nature. So I'm able to maintain that. You're someone that's gone through the process. They want you somewhere between, a year out or so. They want you somewhere between 1,500 and 1,800, at least for men,
Mhm.
1,500, 1,800 calories a day. So I'm able to maintain that now
Mhm.
with the help of this medication because I can push the plate away. I don't have guilt
Mhm.
about pushing the plate away. I can make a plate with smaller portions because I know I'm not going to be able to eat everything.
Mhm.
I can turn my head to a candy bar or a sleeve of
Mhm.
cookies that's sitting in the pantry.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that has been a big plus for me, and I think that has been an advantage for me as far as this journey goes because I have that built-in restriction along with what the medication is doing in order to create satiety and slow
Mhm.
my gastric emptying.
Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So you were saying you were going on, there was something with your hips that you were having, I think maybe another surgery.
Yeah, I had my right hip replaced in 2020, and I'll have to have my left hip replaced here at some point.
Oh, wow.
So that just shows you how brutal the sport of football is. I mean, and I love the sport of football. I would do it all over again because it has provided me so many advantages in life. But it's a risk that you deal with. But it's because of those things I became a lot more sedentary and
Mm.
throughout my journey, and this has helped a lot. And reducing weight has also helped me on my joints because my knees were bad because of football. My hips were bad,
Mhm.
and I have no disc space in my lower back.
Oh,
I have degenerative disc disease, so I can feel my bones grinding on each other when I turn my back.
oh,
And
wow.
what this medication does is it reduces the inflammation within the joint, not just in the body, but within the joints as well. So that has helped as well as losing the weight. So it's not so much pressure on those joints.
And how tall are you?
6'2".
6'2". Okay, so you're pretty
Yeah,
tall. Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay. Okay. And so at what point did you decide to take the medication? Like, how did you learn about it? And then when did you start taking it?
Well, that kind of started in 2023. I went on a cruise to Mexico with my family, and I'm not a real big picture guy, and there were some pictures that were taken that I did not think were flattering. I didn't, I'm not. When you look at yourself in the mirror on a daily basis, you don't see how much weight you put on necessarily because it's happening slowly over time. But seeing those pictures, I was like, man, I've really lost control after having lap band surgery, after having sleeve surgery. I'm almost back to my highest weight. I was at last February, I was at 333 pounds, 333.5 pounds. So I made a commitment to myself that once the cruise ended, I was going to start keto. So I started a keto diet when we got back from the cruise, and that lasted until June. And I went from 333.5 down to 296 or 294, I think it was 296. And then keto stopped working. And like they say, diets are great. They work until they don't work any longer. And I was at that point. My scale stopped moving. I got stuck, and that frustration built back in again. And I slowly creeped back up to 315 pounds or so. And I had always heard about Ozempic, but I didn't think anything of it because I knew it was a type 2 diabetic medication. But then I learned about Wegovy. And at the end of—
And you're not type 2. You don't have type 2 diabetes, right?
No. And I learned about Wegovy, and I reached out I couldn't get an appointment with my primary locally. So I reached out to a telehealth doctor and talked to them about getting on Wegovy. And they told me at that time that Wegovy was on a back order for 4 to 6 months. So they couldn't start me on it. And then in December, I think it was late December, early January, I learned about Zepbound. Zepbound had just been approved by the FDA for obesity management in November of 2023. And like a month later, I learned about it. So I reached back out to that telehealth doctor and asked them about Zepbound. They sent me in for my blood work. Then my blood work was bad. My A1C was 5.7. Wasn't as high as my highest was 6.1, but 5.7 is pre-diabetic.
Yep.
My triglycerides were off the charts, like 324, I think it was, and I think you want to be somewhere around 150.
Oh wow.
And my blood pressure was 146 over 93. My HDL was bad, was low, and my bad cholesterol LDL was high. So because of those things, I was diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. And I had the BMI. My BMI at the time was 40, so I was qualified for the medication. So I went through the prior authorization process and got the medication. I think I had it within 5 days of getting the blood work back.
And your insurance covered it, no problem?
Yeah, they covered it, no problem.
Okay.
And I was surprised. So that's what started my journey. I learned about Zepbound, and I'm glad at this point now. I'm glad that I couldn't get on Wegovy because from everything that I've seen, and I haven't tried Wegovy, so I'm not bashing it or anything, but from the trials and everything, there's more weight loss offered through Zepbound because it's a dual agonist for the GLP-1 and the GIP hormones. And from what I understand from people that have taken semaglutide, which is Wegovy or Ozempic, is that the side effects, at least the GI side effects, are a lot more stronger. It's a more blunt instrument than what you would get on something like Zepbound or Mounjaro. But since then, see how this medication has worked. My had my blood work redone recently. My A1C was down to 5.1.
Yay!
Great job there. It's doing a great job. My triglycerides, which were at 324, were down to 119.
Oh wow!
My HDL improved by 20 points. My LDL didn't change, but we're still working on that. My blood pressure is where it was 146 over 93. Now it's usually somewhere around 108 over 65.
Oh wow!
And another thing is I have a CPAP machine that I sleep with. At its highest point, my pressure was at 14 psi, and now it's down to the lowest setting. So I'm hoping eventually that I'll be able to get off of the CPAP machine, because it drives my wife crazy when the air is blowing out of it.
I know all about that. I know all about that. I told you, I think you're my brother, because I have the same, all the things you're saying was all the same on my end too. Wow. So your health your doctors must be so pleased with your success, because your numbers look a lot better than they were. And how long have you been on the medication?
Since January 12th, so just over 5 months now. I think this is 5 months and 1 week, as of today. And I met with my primary over a televisit, my local primary, and she said, "How much are you weighing now?" And I told her, and she said, so she was really shocked. So she cautioned me about how much I was losing. And I told her, I'm getting my calories in, I'm hitting my protein goals, I'm hitting the gym 3-4 times a week, get my weightlifting in. And so she was real happy with that, and gave me her blessing. So real excited about that.
So that's a fantastic, and congratulations, because you put the work in. It's not just the medication, right? It's all the other things too. So I want to share a picture for the audience so that they can see your before and after, and then I want to talk to you about the food that you're eating now, like what your daily meals look like, and then I want to talk about your workout too. So hang on a second. Let me see if I can share the picture with us. Guys, this is what he looked like before. At his highest, at your highest, you were 358. You're 6'2" with 358 pounds. Is a lot to carry on any frame. So that was your before picture. And now look at you looking all chiseled. 246 pounds. And I just have to tell the audience something funny. So we met when I first started doing videos. I'm just a month behind Charles. So he started Zepbound in January. I started in February. And so we met on each other's channels. And so we were like running neck and neck for a while. We're running neck and neck. And then all of a sudden I see him, like, I'm like, yay, 40 pounds down. He's like, 65 more pounds down, right? So he's done a phenomenal job. And I want to talk about some of his secrets of what he's doing. But altogether, from his highest weight until now, he has lost 112 pounds. 112 pounds is amazing. So I want to talk about your muscle mass too, because I know sometimes people say you lose your muscle, but you're 246 pounds. You're 6'2". I'm 5'2" and a half. And you were less than me. I can't remember. But congratulations. You look amazing.
Thank you.
You look amazing. And let's talk about it. I want to talk about your food. Like, what does a typical day look like for you? You said you're getting your calories in and your protein in, but what kind of meals are you preparing for yourself?
Well, first, I want to preface all of this by saying, I've lost 112 pounds altogether, and I've lost 69 pounds on Zepbound. So I'm averaging over 3 pounds of weight loss per week. But my journey isn't everyone's journey. So don't for your audience out there, don't compare your numbers to where I'm at. I'm a super responder. I have the gastric sleeve, and I have a lot of underlying muscle mass from all my years.
Right. That's the thing. As a man, you guys have so much more muscle mass than us, generally speaking. So like I always say, my husband, if he's like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds, he'll just go for a bike ride. He'll go for a bike ride. He'll ride his bike that week, and then he's like lost 10 pounds, right? But he's very muscular legs, muscular arms. Like he has a lot of muscle and less body fat than I do. But so, and you're right. And I tell our audience that all the time. Like everybody's journey is different. One person might lose a pound in a week, and somebody else might lose 3 pounds in a week, right? It just varies from person to person. But we do want to know what we do want to know.
If you're losing anywhere between 0.5 to 2 pounds a week, you are on a successful journey. Now, as far as what I'm eating on a day, when I first started, I was using the meal delivery system Factor, and I was using those for my lunches every day, because it averaged out about.
Is that like those other home, like the meals come and you prepare them, or they're already prepared?
They're already prepared, so you just throw them in the microwave for 2 minutes, and they're ready to go. I was using those for my lunches because I figured, that they were about $10 per meal at the time because of the savings that they were offering at the time. But that
Mhm.
savings has since wore off. So I did that. I did Factor for probably the first 2 months on my journey, and then it became too expensive to continue on them. But generally for breakfast, what I'm doing is having like I have my Fairlife protein shake, 2 boiled eggs, and some either some beef jerky or some roasted edamame beans that
Mhm.
come in different flavors. And I had those for snacks as well. Some
Mhm.
edamame beans, some beef jerky, some peanuts,
Mhm.
something protein orientated.
That's a
Um,
really high protein breakfast. How many grams of protein approximately would you say that is? The
uh,
2 eggs, the protein drink, and the edamame.
probably probably around 50 to 60, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. I see you,
I try
Charles.
I
I
try to
see you.
I try to focus on trying to get 140 to 150 grams of protein a day.
Wow.
And then for my lunches, I was doing Factor, but now I just do, I'll either go to Chipotle and get what they have, their keto lifestyle bowls,
Mm-hmm.
or go to somewhere like Jersey Mike's and they have those subs in a tub. So
Mm-hmm.
you can get it without the bread,
Mm-hmm.
everything that you want on the sandwich, you can get in a bowl,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll have those. Um, or if I'm at home, I'll have those Just Bare chicken nuggets, with some veggies,
Mm-hmm.
and some either brown rice or quinoa, or the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Those I think it's seed to change, in order to get some complex carbs
Mm-hmm.
into my system. And for dinner, it's usually some chicken thighs, or if I don't feel like cooking, just throwing some of those Just Bare nuggets
Mm-hmm.
in the oven, because they took about 15, 16 minutes to cook, along with some veggies and some um, complex carbs, brown rice and quinoa.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I start every day off with an electrolyte pack, 40 ounces of water, and electrolyte pack, in order to make sure I'm getting my electrolyte intake. I take a Bariatric daily multivitamin
Mm-hmm.
that has the iron in it, because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
multivitamins don't have iron in them. So you have to take that either as a separate supplement or something.
Mm-hmm.
And calcium. Those are things that I've carried over from my bariatric journey,
Yeah.
as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much my day as far as eating. I eat little odd snacks here and there. Something is always protein orientated for me. I always focus on protein first,
Yep.
and that's something, anyone that's gone through the bariatric surgery process,
Mm-hmm.
they'll teach you that you need to eat the protein first, and then
Mm-hmm.
everything after. So if you get full of protein, don't worry about eating the other things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm focusing on, just trying to continue that protein first
Mm-hmm.
diet, and then whatever I can consume after that is just plus.
Right. It
Um,
sounds like it's a very satisfying meals that you're having. Like you're not
yes,
hungry after eating that. It doesn't sound
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you have any cravings for sweets or sweet tea anymore?
None, none,
Mm-hmm.
none whatsoever. And in fact, I went to, it's hot in Vegas now. It's going to be 112 degrees today. Yesterday it was 110. So I'm off from work right now, on vacation. And my wife and I went out to get some ice cream. And yesterday I wanted to try this ice cream spot,
Mm-hmm.
only because it's my birthday week. I wanted to do a little
Oh,
cheat
happy
day.
birthday. I
Thank
didn't
you.
know it was your
Thank
birthday.
you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so it'll be tomorrow, actually. So thank you.
Mhm.
And so we went and tried this new ice cream spot, and I got a cup of ice cream, and ended up throwing almost all of it away because I couldn't. It was like this aversion. I don't know if it was too sweet for me
Mhm.
now,
Mhm.
or I just got full real fast. I had
Mhm.
to, they fill it over the rim, so I
Right.
ate the part where
Oh, just the
the
top
where
of
it co-
the
yeah, the
iceberg, right?
top. Yeah, and then I was done. I threw the rest of it away, so it was $6 wasted. um,
Wow.
so I don't know if
Now,
it
what
was an
you have to
aversion to
do,
sugar.
what you have to do now is when you go to places like that, you got to share it with your wife. Like say, let's just
Yes.
get something to share, and then that
Yeah.
way.
And normally I would have tried, but she wanted to try something else than what
Oh,
I did. She did a vegan ice cream, and
oh.
she kind of liked hers, but not really. So I don't
Mm.
think we'll be going back to that place. But I think I'll have to be careful about ordering those things in the future because
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to eat it all. So yeah, I don't have any sugar cravings at all.
You were gonna
Um,
say something else. Like, is it that? Do you like? Were you gonna go as far as talking about the flavor of food? Like, do you enjoy your meals, or does it taste
yes,
good?
yes, yes. I don't have. I haven't had any meals where I'm put off by it. I know when I first started, I was having a metallic taste in
Mm,
my mouth, and that lasted for about a week. I think that was when I was on maybe my second or third week of 2.5, and
mm,
that eventually went away. But outside of that, I haven't had any changes in my taste for food. So
mhm.
I still enjoy the food that I eat. It tastes good, but it's not something where I'm. It's something now where I'm eating to live and not living
Mhm,
to eat.
mhm.
So that whole dynamic has changed for me.
Yep, yep. That's so good. That's so good. Okay, okay. So tell us about. Oh, well, what dose are you on of Zepbound? And have you ever tried the compound, or you've been able to get your Zepbound prescription each time?
So I am on my second week of 10 milligrams, and I
Okay.
have not tried the compound. I did 1 month at 2.5, 1 month at 5, and then 3 months at 7.5. So
Okay.
I have a 3 month supply of 10 milligrams. So my plan is to ride that out as long
Mhm,
as possible. So I will refill 10 once my 3 months is up. I haven't tried compound, but I did look into it because of the shortages.
mhm.
I was ready to pull the trigger on that. Um, and I ended up getting my 10 milligram supply like 3 days after my doctor had put the prescription in. So I
Mhm,
was thankful for that. But I was fully prepared to go compound if I
mhm.
couldn't get my dosage.
Okay, okay. So wow, you lost 65 plus pounds on less than 10. Less than
Yeah,
10. Wow,
yeah,
that's fantastic. Okay, all right. So for those of you who are saying, I'm on 2.5, you can lose on 2.5, you can lose on it, just everybody is different. Everybody is
yes,
is
yes.
different. Okay, so we talked about the food, and hopefully the audience is like, okay, got it. Protein first, high protein meals. Your food sounds like it's pretty clean too.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
focus
don't
on
have
low
any.
carb, not keto, but I focus on low carb. That helps
Mhm.
with the weight loss as well. Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good. And how about your water? You getting water in?
Yes, I drink at least two of these a day,
Okay.
sometimes three, and that
Mhm.
that is in addition to I take a glass of greens, Kiala greens that I take daily,
Mhm.
and also my daily 30 grams of protein shake from
Mhm.
Fairlife. So that all counts in your fluid
Wow, that's
intake. So
good. Now, your food is really good. You're like the gold standard for eating well, for eating well. So that's great. And that it shows, right? It shows in the
yeah,
results that you're getting. All right,
yeah.
so take us to the gym, Charles. Take us to the gym. What are you doing to
So
stay fit? And I know you're an athlete already, but kind of walk us through what your routine is. How often are you working out, and what does your workout look like?
So I started working out I think 2 to 3 weeks into my journey, and I I go to the gym at least 3 times a week. Sometimes it's four, and when I'm at the gym, I do 45 minutes to an hour on the treadmill at a brisk pace. I don't run because of my hip stuff, but I put
Right.
the speed at 3.6 and
Mhm.
just walk at that pace for
Three
45
points.
minutes
You're
to an
walking
hour.
at 3.6. I run.
Yeah.
I run at 3.6. That's funny. So you're like not too much because of my hips. I'm doing 3.6. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
When I turn it up to 3.6, like I gotta run to keep up.
It's just a leg length.
It's
That's
the
all it is.
Okay, so you're doing the
Um,
treadmill. You're walking on the treadmill.
Yeah, so I do that 3 to 4 times a week, and then I do after I finish that 45 minutes to an hour on the treadmill, I do 45 minutes of weightlifting. So that I'm not trying to be Mr. Universe or anything like that, or trying to get back to my glory days. I'm just focusing on the big muscle groups. So I'm doing leg presses, leg extensions, leg curls,
Hmm.
chest presses, arm curls, cable rolls, things of that nature.
Okay.
So some ab work, and then on the days that I don't go to the gym, I walk at work. I work from home two times a week, and I'm in the office 3 times a week. So there's a few days where I don't go to the gym, but I'm at the office. So on my breaks, I'll get up and walk 15
Hmm.
minutes just to keep my body moving
Oh,
and
that's
whatnot.
good.
And if I don't go to the gym, one thing I'll also throw in is I bought like it's called a mixed fitness bike. It's like a Peloton competitor.
Okay.
And they were real large back in 2020 when the pandemic was going around, and so I'll ride that for once a week sometimes just to get that additional out in. But usually I'm taking a day or two off during the week just to let my
Hmm.
body recover.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that faithfully, for almost five months now.
Hmm.
So that's getting up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym before work, and
Hmm.
getting up early on
You're
Saturday.
taking
So it's
all the excuses away, Charles. You know
exactly.
and like, oh, I don't have time. Or you have time and you get up at 4:30 in the morning, you can do
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
So you're doing okay. So you're doing that. A question for you: have you experienced any mass loss?
Yes, and I just want to point out to everyone out there that at any weight loss journey, you're going to lose muscle mass,
Mhm.
because you're at a caloric deficit. So
Mhm.
if you want to bulk up muscle, you're going to eat a whole lot of calories in order to feed your muscles. So that's what they do in the weightlifting competitions. But if you're at a caloric deficit, which I'm losing weight, so I'm also going to lose muscle mass. But in order to mitigate that muscle loss, you want to make sure that you're getting your protein intake in
Mhm.
and doing some kind of resistance training. Now, you don't have to go to the gym. I go to the gym because I find it more convenient for me. The gym is just around the corner from me, so it's not like a long drive, just a 5 minute car ride. But you can do resistance training just using your body weight in your home. You can get some barbells that you can work out in your home, or some resistance bands, any
Mhm.
kind of thing that's resistance training in order to get those muscles activated will be beneficial in your journey in order to mitigate that muscle loss.
Mhm.
Right now, I think when I started this journey, I think my and this is according to my scale. So this isn't a medical scientific thing, but my scale does body composition. So when I
Mhm.
started I my body fat percentage was 26%, and my um, my lean body percentage was 74%. As of this morning, I'm at 85 lean body mass and 15
Wow.
fat percentage.
That's
So I'm mitigating that muscle loss by
mhm.
getting my protein intake and doing some strength training.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Wow. So good. You are dropping like so many good nuggets for our community. So they're going like, okay, check. I need to do that more. Okay, check. And the reminder to get the protein in is really important too. And it's all the things, right? We
Yeah,
take the medication. You're moving your body. You're still eating right. You still want to get a good night's sleep. You want to drink your water. Like those are all things
yeah.
that are important. Tell me about any side effects that you've experienced, because this community always asks me about side effects. So, what have you had to challenge? Any challenging side effects that you've had since you've been on that
Well,
now?
the consistent side effect that I've had is constipation. So I've managed that with my water intake, Marilax I take daily, and Magle 7, which is magnesium. So I take the 1 to 2 pills a night in order to kind of keep things regular.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, the only other side effect that I've had experienced during this journey is there was a period where I had some real bad insomnia. I just couldn't stay asleep. I would go to sleep, and then 1 o'clock in the morning, like clockwork, I would wake up and I couldn't go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that lasted for probably a week or two, and then
Okay.
it went away. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's just managing the constipation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's talk about relationships, right? How was it like? What would you want to share with the audience about being somebody who is obese, dealing with the disease of obesity, and then you're married, so with your wife, and how has that impacted your life, and what is it like now that you're slimming down?
Well, by nature, I'm an introvert, so I'm a homebody. But I think I was more of a homebody because of my obesity. There was, a lot of times she would get frustrated with me sometimes because I didn't want to go places to hang out with family or friends, or I didn't want to go out. And a lot of that was probably because I was unhappy with not consciously knowing, but I was subconsciously unhappy with my appearance, and tired because of carrying around all this weight,
Mhm.
um, and not sleeping well with sleep apnea and the energy that is required in order to maintain that level of mass.
Mhm.
So that has changed. My energy level was up. I'm moving
Mhm.
around a whole lot better. I'm doing yard work. I was out. I was out the other day. Thankfully, we have desert landscaping out here in Vegas, so thankfully it's just pulling some weeds and trimming some bushes and stuff. But I was out there doing yard work like it was nobody's business. Uh,
Is your wife like, who
uh,
is this man I'm married to? Who is this guy?
yeah, yeah. So it has certainly been a game changer in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And it's a tool. I want people to be cautious out there to not use it as a crutch. It's a
Mhm.
tool, just like um, picking up a dumbbell is a tool in order
Mhm.
to get your muscle mass, but it's a tool in order to help you in your journey. So
Mhm. For sure, for sure. And it's life changing in more ways than
yes,
one, right?
yes,
So
yes.
that's great. And then I want you to speak about being a man on the medication, because we often find channels. There's so many of women who are out here, and they're sharing their experience, their journey on the medication, but we don't see a lot of men who are transparent and really sharing what it's like to be on this medication. Please speak to that.
It's been different because there aren't a lot of men that you can relate to on this journey, because either they're on the journey and they're not sharing it, or they just don't know about it, or they haven't gone. Because I know, I'm a man. We don't want to go to the doctor.
Mhm.
Big tough man. I can, and when I started this journey, I'm a person that loves data. I'm an analyst by nature, so I did a whole lot of research, and I started at YouTube University, just going to trying to find all the content that I could, and there were very few men. If it was a man, it was a doctor talking about the
Mhm.
medications and how to use
Mhm.
them. And a lot of the content that I found were women, so there
Mhm.
wasn't a lot of men to relate to. So um, that's what kind of prompted me to try to get into the space, and trying to tell my journey to prompt some men. And there's one thing that I want to talk about. I didn't mention this before. I had this discussion with my wife and my family. One thing that, and I'm talking to all of you men out there and all of you significant others. Um, One thing that metabolic syndrome can contribute to is prostate cancer,
Ah.
and people that have men that have metabolic syndrome, it makes the treatment of prostate cancer, the outcomes a lot worse. So I
Mm.
had an appointment with my primary to talk about my journey, and she just off the cuff mentioned doing a PSA test on my blood work in order to see where my prostate levels were. So What I would advise that if you're a man that's 45 or older, to ensure that you're going out there to get at 45, start getting your PSA test done on an annual basis to head off any threats of prostate cancer, because you can start to set your baseline at that point. And I'm in a situation right now where I'm at a greater than 50% chance of having prostate cancer. So I'm going through the process now of trying to get that in. Me being having metabolic syndrome probably contributed to this, and then there's a lot of different guidelines about when men should get tested. I mean, some guidelines say 50, and some may say that Black men at 45, and then some guidelines say all men, regardless of their ethnicity, should start getting tested at 45. So I would advise any man that's 45 or older to go out there and start getting your PSA test done on an annual basis. They're free. They're included in your insurance, and they can help you out a lot in this process.
Yeah,
So,
thank you so much.
and that's another thing that we don't talk about as men. So I just want to put that out there as men, and as men on this journey, because if you're on this journey, then you may be susceptible to this.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was not something that I was aware of.
Yeah.
And it's important for all of us, especially for Black men who don't, a lot of them do not like going to like the doctors. My husband's really good about going and getting all of his work done and all of his staying on point on all the checkups. But it's scary because as a family, you want to make sure that, I'm sure your wife and your family want to keep you around a long time. Yeah. And so I'm so thankful to you for being, transparent with that and sharing, having the courage to even start your channel, Round Mound of Zepbound, your channel, to be a resource for other men. And I'm sure lots of women will follow you too, but it's nice to have, some guys will be looking for somebody that looks like them, right? And that they can really relate to, and that you're sharing these things that are they're for your health, right? Everybody wants to be fit and look great and, and feel good, but you also want to be around for a long time, right? You want to be, you don't want this weight to take you out. So, so I appreciate that. Anything else from a male perspective you want us women to know, or people who are, who maybe their husbands are going through this journey too? Anything you want them to know if they don't have the disease of obesity, in any way that they can support their husbands or their significant others more?
I would say just encourage them. I think my wife has been very encouraging about this. Me being on my journey. When I first thought I was going to start making content, she said, "Please don't do that." But she's following along now, and she's encouraging me and giving me kudos here and there, and telling me congratulations on getting to where. And she thinks I look smaller. I'm at the weight that I was when we got married in 1998. And that was my senior year in college, and she thinks I look smaller than I did then. But I told her, no, I'm about the same weight. I'm not as toned as, and I have a lot of belly fat still. And back then I was a lot more just a muscle mass, but but she'll walk up to me and say, "I can put my arms around you now," and all that stuff. So just encourage the men in your life, whether they're your significant other, your son, or any other kind of family member. Just encourage them to look into the medication itself, because there's so many benefits outside of weight loss. It's a whole health change, a whole lifestyle change. I mentioned earlier, it reverses fatty liver disease. It manages diabetes. It fights insulin resistance. It fights inflammation in your joints and in your body. Cardiovascular health. It does so much more than weight loss. I hate to say it's a miracle drug, but it's very close. They're looking at it for so many other indications, from sleep apnea to fighting drug and alcohol addiction, cancer, and all these other things. But I think they've opened with GLP-1 medications in general. I think they've opened a door to fight many conditions. So
Mhm.
if anyone's on the fence, I would advise you to get off the fence. Do your research first. Don't
Mhm.
just take our words for it. Do your research so you know for yourself. Talk to your doctor, and then start your process.
Mhm. Thank you so much. I appreciate I appreciate having you here so much. We were all hyped. The whole community was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, guys, coming in to be interviewed." Thank you, and I think the information you shared is so helpful. It's so helpful to men and women alike. Is there anything we missed? Anything we didn't cover? I'm sure and I'll be like, "Oh man, I should have asked them this." So I have to bring them back for part two. Um, but is there anything else, any closing words that you want to share with them? Think about that for a second while you're thinking about that. Everybody who is here, if you are not already following Charles at Round Mound of Zepbound on YouTube, he's also on TikTok, but on YouTube too. So wherever he is, you need to follow him. You need to follow him because he gets great content. You can tell he knows what he's talking about. He's an analytical person, so he's I'm sure you've dived deep into all of
Yes.
this. And the effects of the medication, and he does his updates weekly on his channel, on his YouTube channel, Round Mound of Zepbound. So, and when you go over there, say, "And sent me, and sent me." But yeah, we definitely want to support you in what you're doing because we want the algorithm to know that people are interested in the content that you're creating,
Yeah.
and we want to be able to reach more people, especially it's because women don't tend to have that barrier as much, but especially
Yes.
men, because I think you can help save lives. If they see
Yes.
you, they see a vision of you, an image of another masculine person who is like them, that's very relatable. I think they're more inclined to listen to what you have to say. And I think that can save lives. So everybody, please, and if you have any friends, any other friends who may not be following our channel, but maybe there are some other men, please also share Round Mound of Zepbound's YouTube channel with them. What's your handle on TikTok?
It's the same.
Okay. So
Yeah.
round Mound of Zepbound. Okay, so any closing words for the audience?
Well, Angie, I just want to thank you for inviting me on. I love your content. I love your spirit. You're just such a welcoming person.
Thank
Um, and I can see from the way that you interact with your community that people just love you. And I love you too. I love your content. And again, I thank you for having me on. And the last thing I want to say is people always ask me where my name comes from, the Round Mound of Zepbound. And so I'm going to go on to that real quick.
Okay.
People have always said that I look like Charles Barkley. Funny
Yes, you
thing because both our name is Charles. And when Barkley played, his nickname was Round Mound of Rebound. So I just flipped
do.
it into Round Mound of Zepbound. So that's where the name comes from. And by the way, Charles Barkley is a member of the GLP-1
Yes, he
community.
is.
He's a
Yes.
Mounjaro user. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Man.
you see Charles on it, you see this Charles on it.
Mhm.
Jump into community. Don't be afraid. You don't even have to make content, but you can interact with us, ask questions. Be happy to share our knowledge and try to point you in the right direction. It's nothing to be ashamed about. Just jump into it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to the interview. And thank you for bringing such great content, great information to our community. For those of you who are watching, please share this video. I'm sure you know people. There's 70% of Americans who are either overweight or obese. And so there's so many of us. I'm sure we know people. Let's get the word out. Let's let them know. Let's let them know about Charles, the Round Mound of Zepbound, and so that everybody can be helped. They have the knowledge so they can make the choice for themselves.
Yes.
So with that, if you ever have any questions for me, I'm always welcome your comments. Please leave your comments. Any shout outs you want to give to Charles, leave those here too. I'll share them with him. And as always, I want you to go out there. I want you to be bold, because it takes boldness to really show up and do this thing, right? It takes boldness to raise your hand and say, I need help, right? I think I'm struggling with obesity and I need help. I want you to be brave, because it takes bravery to show up and be courageous and vulnerable and share your journey. And I want you to be brilliant, because you all are really brilliant. And I think that the world needs to see you. They need to see and hear you, right? You need to be seen, heard, and really valued for the brilliance that you bring to the world. And when other people see you, when you show up and shine, it gives other people permission to do the same thing. So thank you so much for tuning in. Charles from Round Mound of Zepbound, thank you for joining us. We would love to have you back again. I got to see where you end, because you keep losing all this weight. I blinked my eyes and you went from like 40 pounds down to 65 pounds. I was like, whoa, what's going on over there?
And I haven't decided on a goal yet, but I think I'm probably about 20 to 30 pounds away.
Okay.
I don't want to get down to where the BMI chart says I should be, but I think that'll put me like 190. But if I need to get in a tussle or something, I need to have some weight on still.
You got to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful having you here. Thanks again so much for saying yes to the interview. And until we see you again, take care.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye, everyone. Bye.